supervision. So I don't know what that means, okay? He has to report to a probation officer, and he's not allowed to own a gun. They confiscated the gun, and he's not allowed to have any contact with anyone who lives on Thomas Road or Simmons Road. And I don't know why the Simmons Road was put in there, but it was. And also, the 2 officers that he assaulted, if they have contact with him in their uniform as police officers, that's one thing, but he's not to have any contact with them. So that's basically it. He asked why, you know, he can't have any contact with anybody on Thomas Road or Simmons Road, and the judge said no. So, and he must have tree customers, maybe. He's a tree man. So you might have customers over there.
That's not a bad sentence, really. I mean,
yeah, I know.
On the criminal defense side, that's not a bad sentence for what he did.
Right. So there were 3 citizens there from Peters Township. Okay,
You were
I was
one of the 3.
And here, pardon.
I was just saying you were one of the 3.
Exactly. Yeah. So I asked the assistant DA, because nowhere in the charges or in the statement within the court hearings do they mention the firing of a gun. And to us, that was the most important thing, right? Well, police officers, we don't want them to get assaulted either. But so I asked, I says, could you please state out loud in court, so it becomes part of the court record, that the discharging of firearms in Peters Township will not be tolerated.
There you go.
So they did state, he did state that. So that is in the record. So that's about it. So we'll be watching for Mr. Devers. We know what he looks like. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other audience comments? Moving on, unfinished business, no parking signs in Peterson's Park.
So at the last meeting, council asked that Mr. Brooks and I consider alternatives that would address concerns regarding access to the football field for emergency vehicles. What Mr. Brooks and I both advocate is placing temporary barriers in the areas that are shown in red. We would have those up during football season and then take them down. The effect of which would stop people from parking along the road. The concern we have outside of emergency vehicle access is kids being discharged out of those cars and running across the road without looking. So I don't know whether Dave wants to add anything to that.
So that's the solution then, that all the no parking signs come down, and that's how we prevent people from parking there.
Yeah.
And Parks and Rec board's on board with that?
Yes.
All right.
So the rest of the year you can park there then?
No, you can never park there.
No,
Well, I mean,
no. For the rest of the year, you would be able to park there, but there would be no reason to park there, because the only reason people park there is they can't find a space in the parking lots. So the rest of the year, that's not a problem.
So that red thing's going to be on the berm?
It's going to be towards the edge of the road, but safe off far enough to allow people to safely move. And the reason why it's got to be a temporary kind of thing is you could not put guardrails in there, I don't believe. There's water in there, gas is in there, there's a fiber optic line along that edge of that road, so it would have to be something surface mounted and temporary.
Did you guys get input from the fire chief, police chief, or ambulance on that?
I did not contact the fire chief or police chief with regard to that. I only with regard to the fact that the police department prefers there not be no parking signs there.
But this would be better than having cars parked there for emergency vehicles, right?
No, I would think I'd still want their input on access to that lot.
I don't see any reason why that there wouldn't be enough room. I mean, it's a 24-foot road, and all you're doing is making a left-hand turn into there.
I guess the only thing would be if right below there, right when you get to the bottom of that red line, it would be a little bit of a pinch point, right, if somebody started parking there.
Well, I'm thinking even within that lot, the northern entrance and the southern entrance, depending on which way the vehicles coming in. I mean, there's people that park in that grass all the way up to the asphalt. And I think that would be a challenge to a fire engine to get in there.
Yeah.
I think it's worth taking down the signs for a year, trying it,
Yeah.
store them. If it's a problem, then we can put them back up. But I would be in favor of trying it for a year.
That's fine.
All right, I'll make a motion that we remove the no parking on grass signs from Meredith and Bruni Drives and for the length of the recreational football season, that the barriers referenced by Mr. Lauer will be placed along Meredith Drive. Second.
Motion and a second.
Not to open up a can of worms, but what about by the baseball field? What's that going to be? I know we never really talked about it. We just talked about it up here, but they ticket down at the baseball field
And
too.
all the signs will be gone.
So all of them.
All the signs are gone, will be gone. I don't believe there are any signs in just grassed areas, but the intention was to remove them from Meredith Drive and Bruni Drive.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
5-2, Mr. Lauer, motion passes. Next item, approval for recording purposes. The Chen Consolidation plan is shown on drawings prepared by Harshman CE Group dated July 23rd, 2024 for Yozong Chen.
Is this the one we were talking about last time where they didn't want the notes on the plan?
And those
regarding the
are
sewer
on,
lines?
they didn't want to show the easements, but those are on the plan now.
Okay.
And so
This
this
is
is
just a shift,
simply
like
a
a lot
lot
line,
line
right?
shift, and you're transferring that hatched area onto the purple thing. It's a simple
I'll
subdivision
make a
On
motion.
to the purple.
onto the purple.
I'll make a motion that we approve, for recording purposes, the Chen Consolidation Plan as shown on drawings prepared by Harshman CE Group dated July 23rd, 2024. I'm not even going to try to figure out the first name. Yazo Hong Chen. Is that close?
Yeah, I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Next item, approve the Courtyards at Valley Brook preliminary land development plan as shown on drawing prepared by Victor Wetzel dated July 17, 2024 for Thomas A. Robinson Family LP.
So Valley Brook LLC owns 6.778 acre parcel of land on 350 Valley Brook Road. On March 9th, Tom Robinson, on behalf of the LLC, filed an application with the Township for approval of a land development titled the Courtyards at Valley Brook. Council is required to act on this application by September 6th, so we would need to take action tonight. The Courtyard plan consists of 12 townhomes. The plan is developed as a condominium, and as such, the homeowners association will have ownership of all common areas. This includes the private joint driveway for which there is not a dedicated right-of-way. Each townhouse unit will have its own driveway and garage, which will access the private combined driveway. The layout of the private driveway is designed to accommodate a future connection to the adjacent parcel to the west, and that's that parcel where the stormwater management pond is located. This plan also provides access to Arrowhead Trail, and that access will be constructed, owned, and maintained by the Homeowners Association. The Planning Commission reviewed the plan and recommended approval subject to 3 conditions that are in the manager report. In addition, I'm recommending 3 additional conditions. 1, that an easement be recorded for the purposes of providing access to the property owned by the township, and that the easement be shown on the plan. The plan itself now talks about future access onto that parcel, but I think until such time as that develops, we need to be able to have access to the pond for its maintenance. A note should be placed on the plan clearly indicating that the joint private driveway cannot and will not be accepted by the township into the township road system. There's a note on the plan, but I think the note could be much clearer and firmly stated. And it should note that the maintenance, including snow removal, is the responsibility of the Homeowners Association. And then I believe that all deeds for the townhouses should reference the fact that the access is only from a privately owned joint driveway, not a public street. And it's my recommendation that council approve the Courtyards at Valley Brook preliminary plan as shown, subject to the conditions of the Planning Commission and the manager's report. So,
Now, that access to the Montour Trail, I presume that's private, right? That's not going to be
Yes.
used by the public. So there's going to be a sign, or they're going to put a sign on the trail that says private access, no
well, they
public
can.
entry?
That would be up for the homeowners association to do, since they would own that.
Are they going to build that private road to township specs, even though we're not ever going to accept it?
That'd be a question for Mr. Wetzel.
I don't think we can require that because it's
Good evening, Mike Wetzel with Victor Wetzel Associates.
Well, I'm asking. Maybe they're going to do it. I don't know whether we can do it or not, but I'm going to ask.
Actually, that road will be built to township specifications in regard to the paving depth as well as width. That will be a 24-foot wide cartway, or 24 feet back of curb to back of curb, so it does meet all those standards.
But it doesn't sit in a right-of-way, and that's why, and again, it's owned by the condominium association, and that's why it's got to be clear it can never be taken over.
And we totally agree, the developer totally agrees. We've mentioned that in our narratives, we show it on our plans. There is no public improvements except for the sanitaries that really lives on the
Highway,
block.
there's going to be highway. You got highway access approved? Or is
No, we need to come back in for final plan, but this is once again preliminary plan recommendation or approval for a preliminary plan, but it's at the location where we've had all of our other HOP work done for the past projects.
What about all those, the wires that go through there, you know, the telephone poles? They were sagging there. Are they raised now?
They haven't been raised yet, but they'll be also reviewed in regard to the pole height or the wire height. But none of the poles are going to be removed at this time or relocated, but possibly maybe in the future. But we understand in regard to the wire heights.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Robinson had explained to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the power line that passes through this property in the vicinity of the stormwater management pond does not need to be relocated to be able to do this.
Correct. That is all correct.
What style houses are these going to be? Are they going to be patio homes, like first floor master type of?
These will be a 3-story townhome.
Okay. That's what I thought, but just making sure.
What is the history of this particular parcel? Meaning, is this the one that's had the coffee shop on it?
Yes.
Is this the one that?
Had the medical building, had pickleball.
So this is
We
this is
looked at lots
probably
of
the
different
fifth.
things.
Pizza shop.
Pizza shop, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Do
this
you
is
have a
like the
building?
fifth iteration.
Oh, yes,
of the
it'll be
plan.
Scarmazzi
I
Homes.
think we own over here.
Yeah, next to.
So this is different than the prior presentation where it was being built on township property.
Correct. When we were here early in the spring, we had talked about the connection and using the township property. Right now, all we're doing is providing a stub and then a turnaround area over through that location.
Thank you.
There's no storage tanks for water runoff on this one either, right?
There'll be, the stormwater detention facility will be located.
Yeah, I think you showed on one of your
Yep.
drawings.
Oh,
But is it actual, is it detention pond or is it holding tanks?
no, it'll be underground tanks, very much similar to the medical office. So right where the roadway is and through here, this is where the underground detention facilities would be located. We're not at all using the existing facility that's on the township property.
Okay, and those holding tanks will be property of the HOA then?
Correct, as well as the maintenance.
Did it say that on the plan? Is there a note on the plan that says it?
Says it on the plans.
Okay. Just runs down.
Has this got any conflicts with the prior agreements that Robinson has executed with the township for these parcels?
No, because it's not, it doesn't affect that property. That property is separate and maybe adjacent, but it's separate.
Is this lease that we have?
No, it's not. These went on for 99 years, didn't it?
Okay.
All right, well, I'll make a motion the council approve the Courtyards at Valley Brook preliminary land development plan as shown on drawings prepared by Victor Wetzel dated July 17th, 2024, for Thomas A. Robinson Family LP, subject to the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission and the Township Manager.
Second.
A motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer.
Thank you very much.
Next item, resolution authorizing an increase in attendance fees for the members of Peters Creek Sanitary Authority.
So the Peters Creek Sanitary Authority has requested the Peters Township Council adopt a resolution increasing the meeting attendance fees for authority members from $50 to $75. This is a joint authority, and the remaining municipalities have already passed that resolution. While the attendance fees are provided for council and authority members, all other board members in Peters Township currently serve without remuneration. And I think it's important to note that the fee that is paid currently to the Peters Township Sanitary Authority is $50. So.
When was the last time their fees were increased?
Oh, I don't even remember the last time that it went up. It's been quite some time.
Didn't somebody ask for an increase, like, within the last year?
Peters Creek Sanitary Authority asked for an increase, but what we explained was that the resolution as proposed would have done the increases immediately, which is in violation of the Authorities Act. They can only go up as people are reappointed or newly appointed. And so this resolution was changed to accommodate that.
If we do not approve,
Then the rate for all authority members, including not only Peters Township's representatives, but all representatives, will stay at the current rate.
so we would null and void all of the other communities' actions by our
Yes.
failure. That doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me either.
How often do they meet?
Meet normally once a month.
I'm just asking, because if we agree to this, it would give them the same compensation that we get for being here 3 or 4 times a
Well,
month.
we don't get your mother's cookies. They don't
Oh,
get their
okay, well,
mother's
that, you're
cookies.
right. You don't get like, yeah, okay. You don't get the in-kind compensation.
Yeah, kind of compensation, there you go.
I'll make a motion that we increase the attendance fee for the members of the Peters Creek Sanitary Authority.
Is there a second?
Have a motion and a second.
Do we have a second?
No, he
Oh,
didn't
I thought you
second it.
said-
He said, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
You want a roll call? And who said
It's
what?
on 3-3. Did you vote nay?
Well, there's 7 people here.
You were nay?
So it can't be
So there was 4.
It was 4-3.
1, 2, 3, 4. Bob voted no, right, Bob?
Louder.
That's why you couldn't hear Gary.
All right, fine, motion does not pass. 3 yes, 4 no. Next item,
Let's see that.
bids for Public Works Department uniforms.
On July 26th, the township opened bids for a 3-year contract to provide uniforms and floor mats. Only one firm chose the bid, Cintas. The bid was 36% higher than our current provider. Haven't spoken with other providers. We're kind of confident that we can actually receive a better price. This is a case where by having raised that bid limit to $30,000, we can actually negotiate this price, and we now already know that we can actually do this for a price that's lower than what we're currently paying.
I move we reject the bids as submitted.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. Payroll and bills, Mr. Seigel.
Yeah, I reviewed the payroll and bills prior to this evening's meeting, found them all to be in order, and moved it to approve those.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0, Mr. Lauer. No correspondence items. Any reports need to be talked about this evening? Anyone have any discussion? No. Update Peterswoods Park Ball Field Improvement Project.
So the dugouts and the press boxes are coming out of the ground. Prior to that, we ran into some issues with regard to acceptable soils for the foundations. And the only reason I bring this up to you is that we do anticipate that there'll be a small change order to be able to compensate for the additional work that needed to be done. We should probably see that at your next meeting. It's that time of year again for the budget, and I guess what I'm suggesting is on September 30th and October 7th, we have our initial meetings with department heads, and so you'll be receiving information with regard to those as September moves on. One of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention, on September 14th, not only will there be a food truck festival at Rolling Hills Park, but at 11 o'clock we're going to be dedicating a pavilion in honor of Tom and Sandy McMurray, and if people could be there, that'd be great. Also be a good time to participate in the food truck festival. On August 31st, we have rescheduled the fireworks, and they will be occurring at Rolling Hills Park at 8:30. So,
What date? August 31st?
yep.
This coming Saturday.
This coming Saturday.
My dog will be happy.
How are you going to get that out? Do you put it on the website or?
We did social media. There's a banner at the trail.
Okay. I know a lot of people were asking, so.
Yep.
I noticed somebody ripped the banner off there a couple of weeks, like when I went to work last week or something.
The wind does this.
Wind it does it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we just had that little conversation about
Yeah.
problems on the trail, and
Yeah.
I go to work and I see it being ripped in half or something.
Do you ever reach out to Shelley Belcher at the school?
district.
Yes.
Okay.
Did we ever decide on naming the road in Rolling Hills Park?
We have a couple suggestions from the Park and Rec Board. We can get those to you. We need to take a look at it and make up our minds. what
Money
we wanna
Pit
do.
Drive.
What's that?
That's my recommendation, Money Pit Drive.
Well, I don't like that.
Okay. Any other items for next agenda?
No, but I do have a question. I have something for you, Paul. Last meeting, there was an issue brought up about a zoning appeal involving a variance on Elizabeth Drive.
On Elizabeth Drive?
I think that's the on-dash one.
And I think they had it, but it's not in the docket yet, but.
The one that went, not to interrupt you, Frank, the one where they wanted like the 20-foot variance for the porch roof or something
well,
like that.
I was going to talk to you about that because I don't know what you want to do with this. That variance was granted. And then the variance that wasn't granted is on Mr. Corcher's property, that off of Old Oak, down, it has that challenge over where Med Express is. The variance he went for was a variance to move the building away from the stream. And given the topography of that property, it would have been in everybody's interest for that variance to be granted. My sense, having talked to Mark and Jim, is that Mr. Courtyard had done some work on the other side of the road, and they weren't happy that he hadn't got permits to do that. And that became one of the bases upon which they turned down that variance. The thing about that variance is if you go right down here on East McMurray Road where that financial office building is being constructed, they got a variance to move that building back away from the stream. And if anything, Mr. Courcher's situation is far more desperate than that.
So we should appeal it.
So he's the one who did that, we're going from 19 onto Old Oak,
Yeah.
which actually helped a ton.
Yeah, well, and that's what Mr. Courtyard would tell you. Given the extent of the work that he's done there, we didn't know whether he had permission from that landowner. he may well need a site plan approval to do what he's done there. And so from that regard, I think if he actually came in and asked, he would have gotten permission to do it.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And that should not be the basis upon which one does or doesn't get a variance
Right.
on an adjacent property.
I can think of at least one other person who does stuff like that and hasn't affected his ability or her ability to do anything.
So they'll be in the next, those decisions will be in the next docket, and council can decide what they want to do with those.
So when do you want to talk about that, the other zoning thing that I raised? Because I thought, from what I could ascertain, that there was some compelling reasons why maybe that was probably an okay thing to do from being a just standpoint, because it's my understanding that that lot down there was originally non-conforming when they bought it, and I think part of it was approved, could be approved, which is, I think, the patio portion, but the roof is some issue. I don't know why, because they consider it a structure or something. I don't know. But I don't know enough about that to be in a position to say, yeah, we should appeal that or not. And I was hoping to get some
Well,
information.
and you'll have that information at the next meeting, because that will be is this the one that's the 17-foot?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll have that information for council
Okay.
so that you can.
What's the date of that decision, Mark?
It was last week. So
week, yeah.
next meeting, we would still be within
Yeah.
the appeal period.
Yes.
Although you might have to scramble.
Yeah.
They don't want much information on the initial.
Okay? Thanks.
Any other topics for next agenda? Okay, motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So
Got an executive session.